The Apex of Training and Development Show is the region's newest talk show. We strive to redefine the true meaning of training in different work environments. Tune in every Thursday night at 8 p.m. on CTV Channel 2 and on our Facebook page at The Apex of Training and Development Show. On tonight's season finale, we have Kurt John Baptist from Innovation, Business, and Accounting Services.
Welcome to the Apex of Training and Development. I am your host, Cherian Casimir. On today's episode, we will be speaking with Mr. Kurt John Baptiste, Managing Director of Innovative Business and Accounting Services, and we'll be discussing how to land a job promotion. Mr. Baptiste, welcome to our show. It is a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure being here.
Mr. Baptiste, you have had the opportunity to function in a leadership position as a CFO of Jumbi Bay. You're the Managing Director of EBAS, Innovative Business and Accounting Services. And you would have worked as the Revenue Accounts Manager at Caribbean Star. Tell us about your journey as a leader and what did it take to become a leader over the years?
What did it take to become a leader? That's a tough question. You know, the jury's still out whether leaders are born or leaders are trained. I think I was just born this way. but really, it's a whole it's a combination of a whole set of factors to become a leader. You have to do a little mixture of formal training and do a mixture of experience put together, but the inside desire to progress and to be something, be somebody, get to a higher stage, not settling with just what you call the mediocre, the normal. Hey, and that's how you step up the game.
And what obstacles did you encounter on your way or on your journey as a leader?
Well, that depends on how much time we have for the interview. I can tell you about the obstacles because there's so many obstacles. But guess what? You incur the obstacles, whether it be from an institution perspective or whether from the individuals around you. But can I tell you that those obstacles, it depends on how you view the obstacles. Guess what? All of those obstacles, you either get around on the left side, the right side, or you jump over the obstacles. Pick one of the techniques, and guess what? You're going to get around the obstacles. So it depends on what people call obstacle. What you determine as an obstacle for you is probably not even an obstacle for me.
So what were some of the obstacles you encountered?
Well, you encounter the difficult co-worker, you encounter the difficult manager, but guess what? Whether the manager is difficult or the co-worker is difficult, guess what? We got a job to do, we got the work to focus on, and that was always my priority. And being internally motivated sounds a little harsh, but guess what? I don't care what you think. Sounds a little harsh, but it's all about if I accomplish my job today and if I accomplish it to the best that I could do, that makes me happy. And guess what? Results speak for themselves, okay?
Absolutely. What are some of the factors leaders look for when they're identifying a candidate for promotion?
Okay, to land a promotion, I want to divide it. I would love to look at it in like 3 different parts. Everybody uses the phrase about work hard. Mm-hmm. What's working hard? Working hard is about accomplishing the task that you're given to do. Do it accurately, do it precisely, do it within the timing that you've been given it to do. Do it just as how it's been set out in the manual as the boss required you to do it. Hey, work hard. Get it done as per how it should be done. And everybody would want to say, hey, that's the standard. But outside of working hard, you also got to do what we coin as deposit to withdraw. So deposit to withdraw, let me divide that into 2 parts. You always got to deposit some time in order to withdraw some time. So it's just like a bank. I know you don't have a bank account that you can go to the bank and tell me I have no money but I come to withdraw. That's not going to work. So deposit to withdraw. But it works in terms of time and it works in terms of attitude. 2 different things under that particular category. So in terms of time, they have some people who want to go to every funeral, every wedding that's out there. They want to go to every occasion, everything they want to go to. But they haven't deposited any time. Their work time is from 8 to 5 and they come to work 1 past 8 and want to leave 4:59. But then you want to withdraw after. You want to do this, but you want to go home with the same week's pay, the same month's pay. I kind of don't subscribe to that at all. You got to deposit some time in order to withdraw some time. But it also goes in terms of the attitude. Too many times, people want to move to the next level, but they're not displaying any kind of qualities or characteristics about that next level. So we're all in a group of 4, but we all operate the same. And the next thing they would be looking for a supervisor out of that group. What could they see in you, or what have you been depositing in terms of your attitude, your vibes towards your work, your vibes towards your workplace? Are you showing any kind of leadership quality, or we just talk about maybe potential? I hear that word used all the time for West Indies cricket, which don't mean much to me. You got to start to show it. Not when you then get the position to say, oh, we pick person A or person B in the position, all of a sudden you want to then behave like a supervisor. No. You got to start to deposit those attitudes, not only the time, but deposit those attitudes first before you can land that particular position.
But what about the individuals that deposit the attitude, but they're bypassed as a result of, because of favoritism, because of nepotism, because of politics? What do you have to say about that?
Well, sometimes it's a factor sometimes of how you do it. Some people say sometimes it's not what you say, is how you say it.
Yes.
Sometimes when a position passes you, sometimes just wait a while, something else will come around. But actually, because I missed my third point in terms of how you land that promotion, my first was to work hard, my second was to do the deposit and withdraw. Listen to the third now. The third is about continuous learning in 2 parts. Continuous learning for what it is that you are involved in. If you're doing accounting, you got to be a student of your profession. You got to keep developing yourself along that line, reading the articles about accounting, not necessarily the Nancy Drew. It doesn't help you with the accounting, but also you got to be developing yourself. On the second part of continuous learning, you got to also diversify and also be reading something else, become multi-skilled. So it doesn't matter sometimes that you lose one particular opportunity. You got to always be looking for another opportunity. Continue to reskill, retool yourself, and you're going to find one. You got to keep your eyes open to see where next is your best fit. So I guess everybody might not subscribe. I try not to work for anybody for over 5 years. Before, that's how life was. Don't work for anybody over 5 years. Besides, I worked for somebody, I think, for 7 years. But that only happened because of a new technology that was coming out. I wanted to learn that. But the idea is I'm constantly looking for next avenue. I ain't got nowhere else to go now since I'm into my own company. But that was the attitude and, my path.
But what about those persons that are not motivated to look elsewhere? They've been working in a position for the past 5-6 years, and they have the opinion, hey, when the promotion comes, it's automatically me because of years of service.
Well, this thing about automatic promotion, I don't know where some people get that from. I've never read that in a textbook, because it's about work, results. Good intentions, this is like a mathematical formula. Good intentions plus plenty effort and no results equal to failure. So I'll repeat that. Good intentions plus plenty effort and no results is equal to failure. So occupying space doesn't mean anything to me. So even in this time of COVID, and everybody worried about working from home or working indoors, some companies and some managers cannot simulate people working from home because they want to see the person at the desk wasting time. It's all about results. So it has nothing to do with how long you're here. Actually, maybe how long you're here is bad. It's not always the good thing. It's about the results.
All right. Mr. John Baptist, and on that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages.
On the Apex of Training and Development Show's Tip of the Week 11, we have Nicole Morrison.
Hello, I'm Nicole Morrison from Dominica, an entrepreneur, creative director, and model. The tip for the week is, you are perfect exactly as you are. There is no need to change anything except the thoughts that you aren't good enough. Remember, what you speak into the atmosphere is what you attract. So think positive thoughts, smile a while, and give your face a rest. Also remember to like, comment, and share on the Apex of Training and Development Show. Have a productive week.
Stay locked in to find out who will be in next week's Tip of the Week.
And we're back on the Apex of Training and Development. We're here with Mr. Kurt Baptist, Managing Director of Innovative Business and Accounting Services. Mr. Baptist, before the break, you mentioned it is important for persons to take charge of their destiny. I'm just paraphrasing your words. Now, I'm going to go back to the question on the factors that determine whether or not somebody is promoted. And you highlighted the importance of hard work and educating yourself. But again, I would like to ask you about the aspect of favoritism and even sexism. Women are of the opinion that the path to leadership is easier for a man than a woman. What do you have to say about that?
Well, let's go back to the first part of your question about what happens if you're bypassed and that kind of thing.
Yes.
I want to say that an individual needs to worry a little bit more about what they have control over. You have no control over what, if your boss is the CFO or the CEO, you have no control over what happens when the directors go to meet. You hope that they would have taken into consideration, one, the hard work that I mentioned, two, the deposits that you would have deposited, and three, the continuous learning and development that you would have gone through and that they should have seen. After you'd have done that, after you'd have done all you can, just stand. Nothing else you can do at that particular point in time. In terms of the second part of your question about if it's easier for one gender to succeed than another, actually that's of no significance. I haven't seen it played out, to any disadvantage or advantage to anyone in my path so far, in my history, my experience of working. It has really boiled down to really the hard work. In most cases, that's what we have seen. The hard work or all of the other factors that I've mentioned, to me, those have been the really key factors to determine who gets what position, who's promoted, and so on.
So you're saying that it has nothing to do with gender?
So
why are women fighting for gender equality when it comes to leadership roles?
Well, I guess that's very similar to, in some cases, some ethnicity fighting for greater recognition just because they were probably in a minority at one point. So it would seem as if women are probably, fighting a little harder just because you're below. So because you're below, you fight a little harder to get up at the end of the day. But for me, let's see the results. It's who producing the results. In one of my jobs, I remember my assistant was a female, and the two supervisors below her, female. The person who runs EBAS office is a female. So it's all about performance.
And you're the managing director.
Well, that's just because of starting. But I'm the managing director. But I guess if all the staff, if they were right here, they will let you know who really run the company.
All right.
And I don't think it will probably be my name they call in.
Okay, we're going to segue a little bit.
Yeah.
And employees. Yeah. What are some of the misconceptions they usually have when it comes to promotion, landing a promotion? Some persons may think, okay, I need my degree, I need a master's, or I need 10 years of experience in order to get a promotion. But what do you have to say to the employees as it relates to their own opinion and what it takes to land a promotion? Let's go
right back to who's here the longest. I've been occupying the seat the longest. So that's an absolute misconception, and that's not the case in majority of companies. Also, it's not who talk the most. It's not who talk the most. And I'm telling you how it works from in my company and how it works from other very progressive companies that I've been a part of. It's really about the results. It's really, really about the results. Cut the other chatter. It's not about how clean you can clean, how clean you keep your workspace per se. It's that performance. What you were given to do, did you do it accurately? Did you do it within the time frame, efficiently, effective, the way it should have been done? Has that been when they look at you as an employee, are you a role model? Are you a role model? It's not about who is the loudest person. And sometimes you got to look for those. Some employees think that they're very good in one area, but sometimes when it's time to promote, you got to look for the person who is that person who's sort of average or above average in most of the areas. So many times I've been a part of many meetings where you're trying to decide who to promote, and sometimes it's a struggle. That person speaks well. That person, leads well, but then this person knows the work the best, but then they're the most quiet person. You got to then sometimes put a bunch of things together, weigh the factors, and sometimes the person who actually gets the promotion is not the best in all areas. But overall, you have to do a sort of like a weighted average and to see for a particular position what's needed most, and even for a particular time in that particular company's history. You have to, so sometimes under one circumstances, one person could actually be promoted. And under another circumstances, another person could be promoted. And let me give you an example. That if skill is not the issue, if everybody is of almost equal skill level, the promotion is going to be weighed a lot on leadership. Who can manage the team in terms of manage individuals, all right, and manage time and manage a process, because everybody equally skilled. When skills vary, one person at a very low skill and one at a higher skill, if you want the person to lead that team, it will eventually, the weighting will go a little bit more to the person who has the highest skill. So it just depends on the nature of the group and the task at hand, and sometimes what stage is that company in at that particular point in time.
What about the aspect, excuse me, what about the aspect of the person's attitude towards their colleagues? You've mentioned the leadership qualities, but what about how well they're respected among their team members? Is that a factor that determines whether or not that person is selected?
Well, it's a big factor, because to lead a team, the people around you must have that particular kind of respect for you, and they must look up to you. Leadership is a power game, and not a power game using money and using things to get an influence. It's just your ability to speak, your ability to operate, and people have that particular respect for you that they just want to follow you, no matter what you do. So having that set of leadership skills and even the potential, and as I said again, you can always see people, you can see a bunch of persons sitting, even having lunch, and you can look at them and see who's the natural leader inside there. And you pick that natural leader just because sometimes everybody's speaking at the same time. If that person begins to speak, everybody else hush. And sometimes, they're de facto leaders inside of a department. You got to look out for these things and see if that's what you want, if they possess the right set of qualities to promote them even higher. But once again, persons got to show from day one continuously that they have the leadership quality, that they have that particular kind of attitude. What's their view of the work? When you watch a group of persons together, can one person correct the other four colleagues? We're all peers. We all go to lunch together. We all do function together. Who has the ability? Who can look at the others and say, folks, I think we shouldn't be doing this. Or folks, we over our lunch over by 10 minutes. I think we should get up and go. And if that person says that and everybody gets up and go, hey, that's a leader there. That's a person who can speak regardless of what the others think around. They have the right attitude.
A person has the leadership skills within the organization, but yet still the position is advertised externally. Why?
Well, it's a common issue. You hear people have all kind of different opinion about, and I've worked for a set of companies who have advertised positions outside. Sometimes it boils down to, I want to put it down to at least two things: exposure and trust. What do I mean by exposure? In our little 108 square miles here, there are times when there is a job out there and a company is at a particular point that they really want to progress. But nobody else, there's not in Antigua probably won't have 3-4 companies in the same industry, the same market. Thus, there's nobody else with that experience. You don't have another avenue to have been exposed to a higher level of learning, a higher level of knowledge. So sometimes you got to go outside of the developing country like in Antigua and go to the developed country like the US, the UK, to pull in that talent so then that talent can then distribute that among the employees. And it's important that the employees, when these people come in, it's your right to get as much as you can from them. Learn as much as you can from them so that you can then distribute. So it's about that exposure. And let me actually just give you a little bit of my history. Before I started my company, this was by design. Never worked for a company who had a head office in Antigua. All the companies I worked for was with a head office overseas. The reason being, I wanted to learn something beyond what we know in Little Antigua, or even in the Caribbean. So that when I learned that now, it has now put me in a good position here, in my company here now, to know my aim is not to work for any large company in Antigua. It's to work for small and medium-sized companies, to know, distribute that knowledge that I would have gained. And I remember in one particular institution, we used to use what we call IP phones, where if you call my desk and you leave a message for me, it goes straight to my email. If I'm on the road on my phone, I'm overseas, bam, on my phone, I'll read my voice message. When we threw away that technology for about 5 years after, companies in Antigua now getting it and think that they had gone the legs. Whereas we used that long time ago and we discarded that. We moved on to a new technology. Exposure. Only because there was a head office overseas and the frequent travel, the frequent communication with head office, and we pulled those skills from the more developed countries down here. So that's one of the reasons why people still advertise the job overseas. And the next thing sometimes is trust. Mm-hmm. Sometimes some of these companies are owned, both shareholders and directors are overseas. They're coming from the developer. So sometimes there are cases where they trust one of their own or somebody that's coming from their head office who's now coming here now to manage the branch here in Antigua. And to that person, it's a promotion. And the directors and the shareholders in the overseas state would feel a little bit more secure because it's like one of us is looking about our interest there. So that issue of trust, sometimes we're the one who actually, it's our fault. Why they have to do that? Because we create that mistrust. So it's exposure and trust. Those are two key reasons why people tend to advertise a job or seek to employ somebody into a position from overseas. But guess what? Locals, we can do something about it.
What is that?
All the factors that I mentioned earlier. The same work hard, continuous improvement. You can do all of that and try to negate that a bit.
All right. And on that note, we're going to take a break. And while we're on that break, we'll be sipping some Paradiso water. We'll be right back after these messages.
Good afternoon. My name is Ajane Seeley, and I am a first-year student at the University of the West Indies Five Islands campus, where I am pursuing a bachelor's degree in management with a concentration in marketing. I am also an intern with the Apex of Training and Development, which is the region's newest and hottest talk show. So I'll be speaking about my wonderful internship experience so far. Okay, so I recently, before applying to the University of the West Indies Five Islands campus, I was a student at the Antigua State College, where I was studying marketing. Now, my choice to study marketing was not backed by any research or anything. I was just like, okay, this sounds nice, so this is what I'm gonna do. So I studied marketing for 2 years, and at the end of the 2 years, I was like, I have all this book knowledge, and I've done all the courses, but is this something that I really want to do? Because I have had family members who have studied business, and then when they got into the business field, they wanted to do medicine. And I always said I wouldn't end up like that. So at the end of the 2 years, we were supposed to have an internship where we would get experience in the field. And due to COVID-19, that internship was canceled, so I never got that experience. So I started UE September. And a couple weeks into it, I got a message from the guild president, Caleb Gardiner, and he told us that there was an internship opportunity, and he was like, you want to go? I'm like, of course. So I was like, okay, I have to figure out how to balance this with my school life, but I definitely want to do this because before I go any further, I need to be sure that marketing is something that I want to pursue. So Ms. Casimir called me, and I was so excited. I talked to my parents about this every day, and I was happy that I was going to be able to get first-hand experience in the marketing field. So the first thing that we had to do was reach out to companies to get advertisement leads. This was very different for me. This is the first time I had to pitch myself over the phone due to COVID-19, so it wasn't an in-person experience. So there's certain skills that you had to elaborate on more because you were in person and they can't see you. It was a learning process. You were disappointed at times. There were times where things came through, and that was good. That experience was something that you couldn't learn down at UE, even though UE is so good. There's just some things that can't be taught in the classroom. After that, we also had a media blitz where we promoted our show. That's a part of marketing promotion. And we went on different radio interviews. I've never done an interview of that magnitude in my life. We went on our first interview. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. That was my first interview. And then we went to Jump FM, and that was a different atmosphere. And because I had the experience from the previous interview, it was a lot easier for me to talk and for me to answer questions. And it was just overall a great experience. And that's not something you can get from school. So after going through the media blitz and going through advertisement leads, we also had to talk about partnerships. Partnerships were a big thing. You and the company that you're trying to partner with, you have to make sure that both of y'all are getting benefits out of it. We had to do a lot of negotiation, back and forth, trying to meet halfway. That was another skill that I learned. I learned negotiation. And I also was able to develop my interpersonal skills. Communicating with members on the team, trying to schedule Zoom meetings, because Zoom meetings is the latest thing. Talking on the radio interviews is another interpersonal skill too, because you have to learn how to talk and to capture the audience. People are on the road listening, and sometimes you're just like, okay, what is she saying? Let me just switch the radio station. You have to find a way to captivate the audience. You have to find a way to speak. So those are some of the things that I learned so far from the show. The show has been great, and apart from the skills that we've learned behind the scenes, watching the episodes has also been a learning process. I sit down like all the viewers, even though I'm helping with behind the scenes, I'm sitting down and I'm watching the episodes and I'm listening to what people have to say about navigating the workplace, the need for training and all of that. And it's just been a wonderful experience. I feel like I've learned so much, and a lot of the times when you hear about internship experiences, there's nothing in the marketing field. So I'm so thankful to Miss Casimir and the whole team for inviting us to be a part of this wonderful experience. I've learned so much, and UE has been a learning experience, and I'm not going to try to dumb down what we would learn in school, because that's also important. Having your degree and everything is important, but we've learned so much so far from being on this internship, and I'm just so grateful. So it's been a wonderful experience, and I just implore other marketing businesses out there to have more internships and hire more interns. There are lots of people, lots of students who are studying marketing, and we really, even if it's not paid, we really want the experience. So yeah, that has been my experience so far, and it's been wonderful.
Thank you for staying locked into the apex of training and development. And we're here with Mr. Kurt Baptist. Mr. Baptist, how was your Paradiso water? Is it true that it's the closest thing to rainwater?
It's close.
I agree with you. All right, before the break, you mentioned two of the reasons why employers seek candidates outside to fill positions is because of their exposure and also trust. As it relates to politics, why do you think persons within an organization are overlooked, and there are persons pretty much appointed in leadership positions as a result, they may say political appointees? Is it because of trust, or are there other factors?
Just to make sure I get your question, is it political appointees in a private sector or public sector? Because
Both.
Okay. Well, in the private sector, political appointees are basically put there, not necessarily on any kind of merit. They're put there basically to guard the interests of who put them there.
All right.
Let's put it like that. So there might be a little plus for that from the owner perspective. The owner might see that they think they're doing justice in terms of putting somebody there when I'm not there. That person is not necessarily qualified, not necessarily experienced, but it's politically placed there to make sure that you look after my interests as the owner when I'm not there. At the end of the day, we're in business to make money. We're in the business to be more efficient and that kind of thing. Making a political appointee in most cases would not get you that result. So as an owner or shareholders, if you make that appointment, in a sense, take what you get then. Because that person is not necessarily going to let your business progress, but they will definitely look after your interests based on what you put them there. That's it. But in terms of the public arena, we understand that's a totally different kettle of fish. In terms of political appointees, remember, political parties last for a particular period of time. So therefore, within that period of time, you make an appointment to look after your interests, maybe to get you another term and all of that kind of thing. And in some of the the government sectors and some of the quasi-government sectors, some of the statutory bodies, the bottom line in terms of net profit is not necessarily the goal. So they can live with the political appointees. But in my side of the world, in terms of the private sector, political appointees get you nothing. You really want to go, we're in business to improve the bottom line. A political appointee is not going to improve your bottom line. They're just going to be they're going to be the watchdog for the shareholder, for the particular owner of the company. And if the bottom line doesn't grow, that's not fulfilling the goal that we have set out to be in business for, which is to improve our bottom line. So we should keep away from the political appointees and make the appointment based on merit.
I totally agree. Do you think a lack of training and development can have an adverse impact on an employee's ability to lead an organization? I know earlier you mentioned leaders are born. Some leaders are born
and some are trained.
Some are trained.
The best set is the set that are born with some particular set of ability, and then you add the training to that, bam, you get the best lead out there. All right?
But what if there's no training?
If there's no training, that's where we have a problem in an organization. People, not even to leadership, people won't even progress in the work that they do from day to day. You'd be surprised how many companies throughout Antigua, and I mean small, medium, and big, don't have a training budget. You see a profit and loss account produced at the end of every month, at the end of every year, and when you look for the line for training, you're going to look up and down and you can't find a line marked training.
But why do you think there's no funds allocated to training and development in the budget?
Lack of vision, not understanding the benefit of training. So in some companies, let's say in our company in EBAS, every Friday work shuts down at 3:30 and it's all about training. That's the only how you're going to get the best out of the employees. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday half day. You must then set aside some kind of time for training. How are they going to get better at what they do? It's not going to just happen by chance. They're not going to leave here every day at 5 and then come back at 8 every day, week after week, and improve their skills. You have to set aside some time to train them, and as I said, train them in the work that they're doing day to day, and also train them in other things, because that will also help their personal development. When a person, you'd be surprised again, and having seen hundreds, even not thousands, maybe hundreds of applications in my lifetime, you watch a person enter an organization and the resume looked one way, and when they exit the organization, the resume looked the same. So I say this to all who are listening, all managers, you should take some pride in that when a person leaves your organization, the resume looks a bit different. And I mean looks a bit different from the advantageous position. You just can't come in. You came in with X amount of subjects, a certificate, one training particular seminar you went to, and you leave the organization after 7, 8, 10 years, and the resume looks no different. That's a no-no. But what happened? The people at the top don't recognize the benefit of training. If you train the employees, the more I train my employees, the least work for me.
But what about the revenue? Because you said they don't recognize the benefits of training and development. Do you think it's the situation where they're thinking, okay, it's not contributing to my direct bottom line, it's an additional cost. Why would I incur that cost when I'm not seeing a direct correlation between training and development and my revenue?
Well, what happened in that company, they probably don't even have a measurement system in place. So when they spend the money for training, they don't even know how to recognize that it comes in terms of revenue. And sometimes it comes in two ways. When you spend that money in training, it's either another cost sector is decreased or revenue sector is increased. Let me put it like this. Remember, we said time is money. If I train all of my employees, the more I train them, what happens? They come to me less, right?
Yes.
Do you think then I'll have enough time or more time now to look about something else?
Absolutely.
Let me tell you, if you have 8 employees below you, and every one of them come to you for every single thing, and you have to be the one correcting, and you have to be the one marshalling it, you're not going to have any time for yourself to look at the development of the business itself. You're going to be caught up just out in fires every day. If we stop a while and spend 2-3 days training, and because of that and the knowledge that they have gained, guess what? Whole day can pass and they don't come to me. What that gives me, and that frees me up.
Yes.
That frees me up to go do what? Look about more revenue. That frees me up to think strategically about the company, to take the company to a new level. But the day you're bogged down on the day-to-day task, all you're thinking about is today and tomorrow. But who's thinking about January next year and 2 years from now? Somebody has to have that kind of vision and also pursue the vision. So it depends on the measuring. So anybody who wants to, debate that, we can always debate that. Spend the money in the training. Let me tell you, it's an absolute shame for companies not to have training line in a budget. But some companies actually train without an official training line. There are times when in small companies, managers take time to say, come here, employee. Let me show you how to hammer this nail better. As opposed, and when you show the person, you know what happened? You don't have to show them again. All right?
And that person can also show the next person that's entering the organization.
So remember, what's the phrase about the fish and teaching to fish? and the whole thing, if I teach you to fish, so if you're hungry, if I just give you something to eat, you're going to come back every time. After you eat that food, you're going to take a little while to digest. You're going to be back soon.
Absolutely.
All right, but if I teach it to fish, yeah, you ain't going to bother me again. Eh? All right.
Finally, Mr. Baptist, what advice would you give to employees who are trying to land a job promotion, but they just don't know what it takes to get that promotion?
We go right back to the basics again. Hard work, deposit to withdraw, both in time and attitude, and continuous learning. Be a student of your profession and also other little things around you.
What about employers?
Employers. Hey, as first question was about employees. Worry about just what you can control. Employers, on the other hand, they need to just be fair. That's what they need to do. Be fair, and they really need to make the decision that's in the best interest of the organization. And if you do that, if you want to make the decisions that's in the best interest of the organization, you will then hire the right employees, you will then train the employees, you will then promote, the right employees, because so that all of us can function. It's all about the bottom line in the private sector.
Absolutely. Mr. Kurt Baptist, it was a pleasure having you in the apex of training and development, and we thank you for your great insight and wisdom, and we know that the audience would have taken away a lot from today's discussion, and we wish you the utmost best in your future endeavors. And once again, congratulations on your position as the Managing Director of Innovative Business and Accounting Solutions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Shambaria Thomas, chemist at a pharmaceutical lab in Texas, and my tip for you this week is try to cut back on unnecessary spending by identifying your must-haves versus your nice-to-have expenses. Every now and again, it is important to treat yourself, but treating yourself after every paycheck probably isn't the best option. Think before you swipe that card.
On behalf of the production team here at the Apex of Training and Development Show, we'd like to thank you, our viewing audience, for tuning in to yet another intellectually stimulating and insightful episode. I am your host, Charian Casimir. Have a good evening.
My name is Pascale Kentish, and I'm a current student at the University of the West Indies Five Island campus, and I am also an intern for the Apex of Training and Development show. My experience for this internship has been great so far. I was really excited when the Guild president, Mr. Caleb Gardner, messaged me and offered me, well, he introduced this opportunity to me, and I sat there on my bed for a while and I was like, I've been looking to get my hands wet on something within the marketing field for the longest while. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in management with a concentration in marketing, and I hope to later on go on to getting a master's for marketing or something in that area. And I think that this internship would assist in me gaining the technical skills, because I mean, going to school, you don't really get the technical field, but instead you get the theoretical field of it. And I thought it was going to be easy peasy, because it's like, okay, I do well in school and I have the cognitive knowledge, but it was a bit challenging than what I thought. I had to sit down, do some research on Google, be outside of my books and notes, and yes, it has been a great experience. I have also gotten the opportunity to do some radio interviews for the show's Media Blitz. I mean, for the first interview that I did, I was really nervous. And I sat down reading. I did some notes for the interview, and I sat down reading them over and over and over. But then when it came for the interview, it was just like, okay, everything has left my head. So I kind of had to improv. And I think I did a great job. So I think that was that was a very successful interview that we did.
If you liked tonight's episode and think that your business can benefit from our training and development program, just send us an email at apextraining268@gmail.com or give us a call at 268-726-7184. That's 268-726-7184. Sharian's hair and makeup supplies were sponsored by Beauty Rama Cosmetics, located on Old Palm Road and Redcliffe Street, St. John's, Antigua.